I smoked weed pretty much every day since I was 18, but last year I finally decided to quit, and now I've been completely clean for over a year, and honestly, my life has never been better. So now it's finally time to tell my story that I've never shared before. Growing up, smoking was a very normal thing in my house. I saw it or smelled it pretty much every day because my parents and their friends did it. And there was even a point in time where I used to roll around with my dad when he was selling it. So it was never looked at as a bad thing. And I've always been obsessed with music, and all my favorite rappers smoked in every single one of their music videos. Even my best friend back in school was the plug who sold to everyone. So weed was everywhere around me all the time. But as a kid, I wasn't really interested in it. Like in high school, I completely avoided smoking or drinking. I was the straight edge kid until I turned 18. I had just broken up with my first girl, and I was at my friend's house sitting on the back patio talking about everything, and out of nowhere, he offered me a joint. So I decided to finally cave in and give it a try, and I didn't think anything of it. You know how people say the first time they smoke, they don't get high? Yeah, no. Your boy was fried. We finished the whole joint, sat outside and laughed for hours, and then passed out on the couch watching Scarface. Honestly, it was the perfect first session, and on that day, my relationship with the gas began. I didn't want to be a total degenerate though, so I decided I would only smoke it if someone else had it. I told myself I would never buy it, but pretty much all my friends had it, all the time, and so did my mom. So when I came home from school every day, I would sneak in her room, grab her pen, hit a blinker, and then put it back, and then hide in my room the whole night playing League. On the weekends, my friends and I would ride around and weed smoke. And then when I finally moved out, went to college and started making my own money, I started buying it. I lived in an apartment with my best friends who also smoked, so we bought bongs, papers, woods, dab rigs, and pretty much every device you could imagine to smoke with. At that point, it wasn't just at night or on the weekends anymore. It was all day, every day. And over the next year, I pretty much did everything high, from working on my business, working out, making videos, and even for simple stuff like eating dinner, I had to smoke first. But honestly, I didn't even think it was a problem because on the external, I was successful. I was in great shape, making money online, and I was even getting ready to move to my own apartment in LA. But once I moved there in 2018, that's when it really became a problem. Over the 2 years of living there, my life went on a downward spiral. My businesses were failing, I was spending more than I was making, and I was miles away from all the people that I loved. While I was alone in my apartment, the weed was the only thing that was helping me cope, and it didn't help that there was literally a dispensary right next door. So I started smoking even more. I would go through literally 3 joints a day to myself minimum, and not them little joints. I was going through them cannons every single day. I wasn't even getting high anymore. In fact, smoking started to bring me to an even darker place mentally. It just made me feel paranoid and have doubts about everything I was doing. But still, like clockwork, I went back to it every night. I didn't even want to do it anymore, but for some reason, I just couldn't stop. I would stop for a couple days, and every time afterwards, I started to feel good. I had more energy than ever. I started to feel like myself again. But sure enough, after a while, I always went back to that seductive little plant because this time, I felt like I could handle it. But slowly, I always went back to smoking every day. This cycle lasted for my entire life in LA until everything fell apart. I was $30,000 in debt and I couldn't afford to live there anymore, so I had to move back to sleeping on my mom's couch. This was the lowest point of my entire life. And at this time, I decided to quit for real because, I had no other choice. It's not cool being 23 years old on your mom's couch in debt, getting high every day. So I stopped completely. And that's when I realized I had a huge problem. I'm in a low position. The first night was horrible. I just remember sweating through my entire bed sheets and having the most insane, vivid dreams that kept waking me up all night. For the first week, I had no appetite and I really just wasn't a happy person at all. But day by day, things started to get better because before I could just distract myself from all the problems in front of me with a blunt and some YouTube videos. But now, if I wanted to feel good, I was forced to face everything head on and start actually making progress in my life. So I started a new business, started working out every day, and really just tried to enjoy my time with my family. And unsurprisingly, in my first month of quitting, my business had made over $10,000 in profit. I felt alive. I was truly happier than ever before, and for the first time, I felt free from the grasp that it had on me. And I discovered that it was really holding me back so much, because over the next 6 months, I moved to an apartment in Miami, started my YouTube channel back up, and grew my business to hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales. And then to celebrate everything, I went on a trip to Jamaica with my dad and my sister. Not my best idea. Literally, right when we got off the plane, my dad's friend picked us up and had a joint rolled and ready to go for us. I mean, it's Jamaica after all. At this point, I was doing really well in my life, and I was 6 months sober. So I told myself I earned the right to just hit it once. I mean, I could definitely handle it this time, right? So I smoked that day, and the next one, and the next one, because, well, we're in Jamaica. I said, I'm only gonna do this out here, it's only for vacation, so it doesn't even matter. Maybe you know what happened next. When I got back home, it only took about 2 weeks until I was back to being a daily smoker. It was like all those 6 months of progress went down the drain instantly, and deep down inside, I knew I was doing the wrong thing. In fact, quitting weed was one of the things I was the most proud of in my life at this point. So when I started again, I kept it a secret from everyone. And the cycle began again. I would quit for a couple days or weeks and then always go back, or try to do something like smoke only CBD because it's not actually smoking. And maybe you've dealt with this before. You want to quit weed so bad, but every time you try, it always finds its way back into your life. It's not fun because when you do finally smoke again, you enjoy the first session, but when you head back inside and sit with yourself, you just feel guilty and confused and ask yourself, how did I get back here again? This was the trap I was stuck in for so long. I reached a point where I convinced myself that it was actually helping me in my life, because at this time I was going hard on YouTube, posting a video every single week, and I was filming and editing every single one. And let me tell you, a joint at 2 in the morning with Adobe Premiere is the ultimate combination. It had me feeling like I was Cole Bennett or something when I was editing. The biggest videos on my channel at this time were all edited by me, fueled by the gas. And I never smoked on camera, but best believe right when that camera turned off, the first thing we did was spark. And it was working. I was growing my channel, making a ton of money, and again, things looked good. But the problem was, on the inside, I felt like I was back to where I started. I felt like I couldn't do anything without weed involved. I would wake up, roll 2 to 3 joints, and plan everything in my day around it. And if I traveled somewhere, before I flew in, I would figure out who I could buy it from. Even when we went to a place like London, I had to have my weed. I genuinely felt like I needed it to function, but I didn't feel good about it. When I went home to my mom's house, I would hide it from all my younger siblings because I wanted to set a good example for them. And I never posted pictures or videos of me doing it because truly I wasn't proud about it. At this point, I hated smoking and everything about it, and it was making me feel paranoid all the time, but I still kept doing it. Until one day I reached my breaking point. I was tired of being an addict. I was tired of needing to smoke every day, and I was tired of feeling like I needed it to be me. It literally had a vice grip on me, and I was truly ready to break free for good this time. So on August 22nd of 2022, I decided it was time to quit for real. Let me break down how I quit and finally kick this habit from my life for good. It starts with the first 30 days, which were without a doubt the hardest of them all. If anybody ever told you weed was not addicting, they have not smoked enough of it, or they're probably still addicted themselves. If you smoke like I was smoking, it ain't easy to quit. The first thing I did was literally get rid of everything I owned to smoke with. All my weeds, papers, blunts, grinders, trays. I even threw away every lighter in my house. That way, if I wanted to smoke, it was really going to be a mission to do it. I also made it a priority to avoid any situation where I knew I would be around it. And this time, I faced the same problems as before, but now they were even stronger because I was smoking a lot more before I quit. Every day I had intense cravings to smoke because I knew if I did it, it would make these things go away instantly. And I felt like I was becoming so successful even while doing it. So why stop? Like, is it worth it? This is the question I would ask myself every single day. If I could describe my first month of quitting, I would use one word: doubt. I felt like I was less creative without it. I didn't feel happy anymore. I felt like my conversations weren't as good. I thought that the weed was what helped me with all of these things in life. Even the first video I made in this month of being sober was literally the worst performing one I've ever posted in the history of my channel. But as the days went by, I started to catch little glimmers of hope that were showing me I was making the right decision. The first thing I remember vividly is starting to actually feel like myself again. Being high was my normal state of mind, and day by day, I started to see what it was like to feel my real emotions again. I felt like I finally had a clear head without all the brain fog and 24/7 anxiety. When I used to smoke all the time, it always made me second guess myself in conversations, and when I would say something, I almost immediately doubted if I said the right thing. This went away too. My conversations became so much more meaningful and present with my friends and family, and my confidence went through the roof when I was speaking. One of the worst parts about weed was that it made me comfortable sitting at home and doing nothing. It made it something. But after I quit, I felt like I had all this extra free time in my day that I literally didn't know what to do with. And that's when I realized those were the times I was smoking the most. Instead of actually getting out and doing the things I wanted to do, I was just using it to fill the void of boredom or avoid doing the shit I actually needed to do. So I knew to stay sober, I needed to stay busy. They say idle time is the devil's playground, and boy was he dancing around in my head. So I started focusing more on my work and self-development. I started doing more of the little things I enjoy, like running, riding my bike, going out with my girl, playing basketball, reading, and just filling my nights with actual stuff instead of watching YouTube and smoking all night. And this filled me with a new level of joy that I had been chasing with the weed for years. I found out that everything I was searching for from the weed, I found from being sober. And in the following months, everything in my life started to get a whole lot better. After month 1, I still had some cravings, but they really went away a lot because I started to fall in love with how I felt without it. It was almost like everything in my life got better instantly. I didn't realize how much weed was fucking up my life until I actually quit. Instead of struggling to sleep like I used to every night, I was falling asleep faster and waking up with more energy than ever before. I used to feel so groggy in the morning, but now I started to feel clear and ready every day. I started noticing all these glaring problems with my business that I hadn't noticed before, and since I had all this extra time, I started working on patching them up and almost instantly started making more money than I was before. My relationship with my girlfriend got better because I was more present and doing more things with her. And I actually want to give her a shout out because she helped me so much in my lowest times during these months. So if you're going through something like this, it helps a lot to have a friend or someone to hold you accountable in these times, I promise. Though I was still really worried about my YouTube channel because I felt like my creativity had gone out the window and my channel had less views in that month than it ever had before. But my friend Teo and I had one video we were working on since I had quit that we knew had potential. So even though it was hard, day by day, I just forced myself to push through and work on it. That video was my Andrew Tate War Room video. And ironically, it's one of the most creative videos I ever made in my life. Like, still to this day, I think it's one of the best pieces of work we've ever made. And it went super viral, like nuclear viral. It was the biggest video I had ever posted at that time. And then the next video went even more viral, hitting 1 million views in just under a month. I started spending a lot more time with my friends and doing more traveling, and I even met with my boy Iman this month, and he randomly gave me a Rolex as a gift when we were at dinner. It was like I had gone through the worst month of my entire life, and then God blessed me with the best one to show me that the struggle was worth it and to remind me that I was on the right path. I was so proud of myself for being stronger than my temptations and coming out on the other side. So I'm promising you, if you can get through that first month of quitting, the other side is magical. And it was at this point that I knew I would never look back. And now I've been sober for over a year. And to me, it's one of my greatest accomplishments because there was a time where I genuinely did not think it was possible. The changes I felt over this year have been profound. I actually feel like a brand new person, as dramatic as that sounds. Now, everything is not perfect or anything like that, but my life has truly become so much better. And of course, I still have cravings to smoke sometimes, and maybe there will be a day where I do it again, but I know now that I love how I feel with a sober mind much more than I like being high all the time. My confidence is so much higher. My thoughts are so much more positive and clear. I have better relationships with everyone in my life. I do more each day, and I finally feel like myself. And my career has been going crazy too. I mean, this time last year, I had just under 500,000 subscribers, and this year alone, we got more than that. And the sales on my business are up over 100%. And yeah, sure, maybe it's not all because of the weed, but I'm gonna go ahead and say it's about 80% because without smoking, I've been forced to find all my joy and fulfillment through the journey of becoming a better man. And this has sent me on a massive upward trajectory. It's a lot harder to waste as much time as I used to, and I've really been making the days count this year. And you can consistency has been paying off. I realized that I use weed as a coping mechanism, but now I've been forced to sit with and actually deal with the problems of my past instead of trying to run from them. And as uncomfortable as that is, it's truly made me a better and more successful man in all aspects. One last thing I want to say is that if you feel like you're addicted to smoking weed, just know you're not alone. Society has led us to believe that getting high every day is normal and in some cases even healthy. So as a result, you might feel crazy for not liking it or feel like you can be getting high every day and make millions like your favorite rappers. But truthfully, since you're watching this video, I know you want to make a change in your life. And as someone who's been on both sides, literally going through an ounce a week to now not even touching CBD drops, I promise you the sober side is the side to be on if you truly want to reach your highest potential in this lifetime. And look, if you don't believe me, give it a try for yourself and come back to let me know how you feel. For now, thanks for watching. See you next time. Hey, you got that gas, big bro?
I still express I don't smoke weed or sex, cause it's known to give a brother brain damage, and brain damage on the mic don't manage.